All right, we're doing another one. Non-negotiables. That's I'm trying to. I don't want to say plan these out more, but I want to have more concise points to the things that I want to talk about. Because again, if you watch any of the last ones, or you've been around for a little bit, you know my brain could go all over the place, which isn't a bad thing. But as I'm evolving, I guess, or wanting to do more of these transparent videos, unedited videos, and I just wanted to be a little bit more like point topics that I could go into. So I figured today that this video could be going over some non-negotiables, some things that have truly changed my life. And again, I'm doing this because I love having these conversations. I think it's super important, especially as a human being, and then also having a platform. I do think it's super important to talk about the things in hopes that it potentially could help someone else, things that have helped an individual level up, just as an individual, as a human being. For one, I love doing it. I love having these conversations, and yeah, that's why I do it. I genuinely hope that whatever anyone's going through, no matter what part of their journey they're at, that's something that I say. Really, I say it's like through me, because I go all over the place. I don't even know. Sometimes I just say a bunch of things, and sometimes I'm like, whoa, what did I just say? Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to myself, like watching myself third person. It's weird. That's happened a few times throughout this like last 6 months. It's been a weird experience. So I really say, like, whatever's speaking through me, I hope that it resonates with someone wherever they're at in their journey. Because there's a lot of things that I talk about. Anyone that's been here for a while, you already know. But anyone that's just getting familiar with the page or me, anything else, I've been having these topics of conversation for forever because they're super important. These are things that I wish that I would have known. You know, I always know like how hindsight is 20/20, things that you wish you would have knew back then. I just hope to bring that and push more of that on my socials. Whether you are also an artist or you just want to do anything in life, whether you're going after your law degree, you want to be a nurse, a veterinarian, it's all irrelevant, right? The specific thing is all irrelevant. If we can, as individuals, and this is what really helped me once I started listening to people that were doing things that I really wanted to do or to go after or to achieve, or I would see their life and be like, I want to live a life like that. Even though, like, say they were doing something specific like real estate, or maybe say they were a lawyer, or they had a podcast, and it was nothing that's like what I did specifically. I would just change that word, right? For me, it would be music or production, and that helped me like astronomically. It changed my perception. I just switched that word. So anyone that's watching this, if you just switch whatever word that I'm using for the thing that you're going after, maybe it's the same thing, maybe it's music or content. I know that if I would have been hearing these things that I'm saying now, back then, they would have genuinely really helped me. And that's all that I want. You know, it's like nothing that I'm it's not like a ploy or you know, that's what I genuinely want. So anyways, I figured today, because I'm trying to go more on concise topics, I have a little sheet here with a few things written down, but non-negotiables. This is one thing that absolutely changed my life. Because as human beings, we have so many things going on, right? And whatever that you do, and life happens. You ever tell yourself that or hear that from a million different people? You know, I was going to do this and this, but life happens. You know, life happened and life happened, and you know, maybe I'll get to it next week. But it wasn't a super important thing that you need to do, is what I'm trying to say. But you pushed it off, or life happened. Setting up non-negotiables, meaning doesn't matter what happens, like it's non-negotiable. When I wake up in the morning, I'm going to list some of the things that are my non-negotiables. When I wake up in the morning, first thing, I don't look at my phone. So from the night before, I've been listening all night, right before I go to bed. That's where we'll start. I put on like nighttime affirmations. If you're also interested more in that, if you go to the top, you just go to heartfam, HEARTFAM.com. That's a page, again, we wanted to start because it's like how some things I can't talk about on platforms, and I understand, these platforms are businesses, and some things I can say and some things I can't say, so it's totally understandable. But it's like, how can we make this a place of all-in-one where all these things that I talk about can be posted there consistently, and then all the people that are also on the wave or are trying to also evolve as human beings can all go, as well as unreleased music, the merch, which is so, I can't have to stop saying crazy. So amazing that it just came right before I did this video, or I started this. But 2 unreleased songs every month. Everything's that's unreleased, a ton of BTS. Again, if you go to heartfam.com, there'll be a better version of me explaining it in a more concise manner of all the things that I did. We just did we're doing monthly giveaways. So we actually, last month we did 3, or was it the beginning of this month? I don't know, so many things going on. We just did 3 giveaways. Normally it's just, the plan was to do 1, but you guys have been absolutely incredible, beyond grateful. I know you hear me say it, and I reiterate it every single time, but it needs to be said. None of this would be possible without you, truly. But yeah, so we did 3 on the last giveaway, and some of you guys should be getting these and a bunch of other stuff. Anyways, non-negotiables. I start the night before. I'm listening to nighttime affirmations. That's the point I was also going to make. There's also meditations that I produced and voice narrated. They're not anywhere else. They're only on heartfam.com. That's the only place you could get them. Doesn't make sense for me to put them out. It's just, that's the only place you'll be able to get them. So there are like meditations, and I voice narrated them myself as well. So you could check that out. But I do that every single night. I just let it run. So it's a subconscious, right? Because the way I was living, I was thinking I was doing all the right things, right? Until I realized that I was the cause and the effect of my own life decisions. All of them, right? So I came to the point, like, maybe I just don't know anything. I don't know anything at all. And that was a hard one for me to realize. So I stopped trying to tell myself I knew the right way and started listening to the people that knew better than me, and that maybe had better ideas and ways of doing things. And that was one of them. It was, how do I change the subconscious? If you don't know the difference between the conscious and the subconscious mind, the conscious mind is like this. We're here right now, Oh, I'm moving my hands, like you consciously, like you're aware that I'm doing this, right? But the things that you do throughout the day subconsciously, right, that you don't know. You don't think, maybe sometimes you don't even think, say you're driving to work, or you're driving a place that you always go, you take the same road every single time. You don't have to even like really consciously think, oh wait, is it, you look at a map and be like, is it left or is it, you've done it so many times, and there's so many different references I could give for this, but hopefully that one translates with you. So many different ways that the subconscious works every single day, that you don't have to think about it, just subconsciously. It just happens, you don't have to think about it, it's natural, right? My subconscious for way more than half my life, majority part of my life, was leading me in the direction that I didn't want to go. I thought it was leading me in the direction that I wanted to go, but I was just unconsciously aware. And so I started implementing these things. So nighttime affirmations, you can find any of them online. I also been posting them on heartfam.com. You can see a bunch of them there. I just let them run. There's ones that are like 5 hours long, 8 hours long, 10 hours long, however long your sleep schedule or wherever you're at, it's just run. So as I'm sleeping, my brain is grabbing all this new information. You think it may sound silly, but think about it. It's just running. It's reprogramming. Might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone. If I'm already sleeping, I'm getting my rest, my recovery. You're recharging your energy battery that I always talk about. You only have so much energy, like Energizer Bunny. My words are all weird right now. But you only have so much energy to run throughout the day. So it's charging that. And then on top of that, you could be reprogramming your brain. So why not? Plus, it's so quaint. It sounds so good. And it's just repeating statements over and over and over. Think about anything that you've learned throughout your life, even riding a bicycle. You have to fall, get back up, fall, get back up. You consistently keep doing it. Now it's natural. That's one that's subconscious. I guarantee if you learned how to ride a bike if you're fortunate enough to learn how to ride a bike, I'm sure there's some people that have no idea how to ride a bike. My dad doesn't know how to swim, which still blows my mind, but he's scared of water, and that's his journey. And maybe one day, that's what I should probably do, take him out to the water while he's out here. Anyways, I'm going to stay on topic. Subconsciously, you could get on a bike. If you learned back then, you could get on a bike. It wouldn't even be, you wouldn't like think like, oh my gosh, my pedals, I need to put the training wheels back on. You would just, that's a subconscious thing, right? So you learn, but you also knew from that you consistently were practicing and learning. So it's all these things and repetitive. It's the same thing over. Same thing I learned with anything with music. It wasn't like I made a song and it all made sense. Or it was like the first thing I ever made. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm amazing at this. That's at least not my story. It was so much trial and error. And it was years of just like horrible music. It really was. And again, I get it could be all objective and someone could be like, hear the first thing I made and be like, that's amazing. But it really wasn't. I think one time I've showed somebody, or I went on live. Maybe some of you guys remember. I went on live and it wasn't good. And that's totally fine. But it was the repetitive nature of doing it over and over and over again because I wanted to get it. That then it stuck, right? So same thing with listening to those things over and over, the nighttime affirmation. So I go to bed, I do that. It's a non-negotiable. So it doesn't matter if I don't like hang out and like sleep at friends' houses anymore, like when you're a kid. Maybe I'll find some friends and I'll do that one day, but anywhere I'm at, if I'm visiting my mom or I go to an Airbnb here, or I'm upstairs, it doesn't matter. It goes on. It's on my phone. I listen to it all night. I wake up. It's the first thing I also hear, and I let it run. I don't look at my phone in the sense like obviously it's running. It's on my phone, but I'm not looking at text. I'm not looking at all the apps, and I don't do that. That ruined me for a long time. You're just messing with that morning brain energy, all the chemicals in your brain. There's so much information all at once. So cutting that out, being a non-negotiable, I haven't done that for years now. It's just subconscious. I would never, even if I got a text when I woke up, I just wouldn't look at it. I'd make sure I looked away from it. That's how like sacred this non-negotiable practice is for me. And so I do that. Obviously I brush, floss my teeth, and then go downstairs. I actually stopped drinking coffee. Normally I'd be telling you right now that then I get my cup of coffee, but I stopped doing that. That was a conscious thing. I don't know. I was talking to my manager, Charles, shout out Charles, and he stopped doing it, and he's like, oh my gosh, the benefits are amazing. So he like hooked me in, and I tried it, and my life, it's crazy. It's almost like, do they want you to drink? After not being on coffee, yeah, you get a headache for a little while. Like, mind you, I'll tell you, I was an avid coffee drinker. I'd drink like multiple pots a day, just unconsciously, subconsciously. I'd just drink and get another pot, just drink coffee. So I was a pretty official coffee drinker, and so I stopped, and I've been off it maybe like almost a week now, maybe 5 days. And yes, I got a little bit of a headache for the first few days, but I'm like, oh my gosh, now I feel so great. My dreams are nuts too, like amazing, phenomenal. And then now I'm like living life, off coffee. I'm like, oh my gosh, do they like want you to drink coffee so that you like stay like below? I always talk about frequencies. So my brain says this is like a new process for me, but anyways, to stay back on topic, I just get water now. But if you drink coffee, that's also totally fine. I'm not saying like, oh, you drink coffee. So I get my water and then I stretch and I meditate. 2 other non-negotiables. I stretch, I meditate. Doesn't matter. I get a phone call and I understand this is where like the human brain will tell you, what if I get an emergency? What if these things? Then I have to do them. And, like, of course, take them, if there's an emergency, of course, but that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about non-negotiables where your brain wants to go to the phone or go to the TV or go to the computer or not do these things that you set as non-negotiables. That's obviously there's other things in life that can happen and you take the call. We're just stay on track. Because that's, I say all the time, we come up with great excuses, It's like, oh, but like, oh, this person wouldn't normally text me this early. That's like a good one. You're starting this new thing, or I was, and I would get a text really early. And I'd be like, oh, like I need to check it. I know it was a non-negotiable, but I need to check it because this person would never text me this early. There must be something going on. And it was just normally like, hey, like, let me know when you're up and then we could reconnect. That's like usually what it was. So then I took back the thing that I promised myself, right? And the promises you make to yourself, especially on this like new path, and anybody else maybe that can relate to this and vouch for this as well, but the promises that you make to yourself and you keep hold so much weight. You know, if you start breaking those promises you make to yourself, watch how negatively so much will rub off on the rest of your life. It's absolutely incredible and mind-blowing. So I really try and seal these points in, because these are things that I wish that I really knew for a long time, and I just hope someone that maybe is going through it or can relate to what I'm saying or understands what I'm saying can benefit from any of this. So I do my stretch meditation, non-negotiable, and then that goes right into my meditation, and then I write down, like I just have things like goals and things that I write consistently. As far as you hear me talk about manifestation all the time, things that I'm manifesting, you know, every day, and I write it down, nonstop. Just so you know, I'm not making it up. And I write them down so much over and over. You can see they're written over and over, over and over and over and over and over and over. So that's why they're so like dark. I do it every morning, and I have like, probably since I've been here, like maybe the last 6 months, I probably have like 20 pages of that, where I, however many, 20 divided by whatever how many days 6 months is, nonstop until it like rips through the paper, and then I make another one. But it's keeping those things, because now it's at the top of your mind. So you talk about abundance or all these things. I promise you, and this is why I want it so much, because, or I want it to translate and people to really get this, is because it is so real. I'm telling you, all this is very game-like, like life. It's all game-like. And then you really mix that with manifestation, law of attraction, and then on top of that frequency, which all the music recently, it's not a trick. You know, you hear me say it on multiple videos when I put it out. It's like I have to defend myself, and I say, then go, if you don't believe me, like go illegally download it. You know, like I'm truly not doing it for streams. I would have to do so many streams to like that's not what it's about for me. Like it's truly helped me. If you guys stream the music, of course, like I want people to stream the music, of course. You know, as an artist project, I want it to grow as big as possible, and really so that I could start having these conversations with more and more people that are on the wave, and then it builds a huge community. You know, like so there's definitely a big picture behind all of this, but I really wanted to translate in people to be affected in a positive way by these things that have really changed my life. Anyways, so those are the non-negotiables. I also do one, and gym is one. Gym and nature became non-negotiables. I had to switch it up a little bit here in Miami. Nature was always one for me when I lived out in California. It was a non-negotiable. I'd either go for a hike or just go out into nature and have a walk, or go out into nature and then read somewhere, like under a tree. But being in Miami when I first came here, like if anyone lives out in Florida, I'm sure everyone, for the most part, knows. If you don't know, Florida is just so humid. And I didn't feel good. It was so humid that like I didn't want to go outside, which is a big change for me, because I always want to go outside. And I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder used to California weather. So I came out here, I was like, oh, the sun's out. And I opened the door and I'm like, you know, so it was a big switch for me, and I had to implement other things. I was like, okay, this isn't going to work. So I need to implement something else. So the gym and like traveling to another gym and listening, some of the nighttime affirmations and affirming statements, and a lot of the things that I post in Heart Fam, those are things that I listen to even just driving. You know, some of those interviews that I posted in there recently, I listen to them driving. So it's like, okay, if I could do that, I really enjoy driving. Anyone doesn't know, I'm such a gearhead. I love cars. I'm obsessed with cars. They're my thing. They always have been, but I enjoy driving. I love that. So it's like, okay, if I could do that and then also keep my non-negotiable as far as the gym. The gym, this isn't a conversation about, hey, go to the gym because you're going to be in the best shape of your life. It's not. We're not even talking about like the physical level. Yes, obviously you go to the gym. It is amazing for your body, and when it's really amazing for your body, the effects and the endorphins, everything it releases in your brain, that's what it's really about though. Like, yes, there's benefits, but we're not sitting here. This isn't a how to get six-pack abs thing. And I know it sounds like, well, it's contradicting because you see the videos that I post and because I'm so into fitness. I'm so into fitness because I've seen how beneficial the effects have been in my life from going to the gym and how it translates into my real life. So that's why I've become like, oh, like I need it. It's a non-negotiable. That's just what it is. After I hop off here, that's what I'm going to. Obviously, I'm tired. I've been working since early morning. My dad's visiting. My mom was just here. We were doing some cool stuff. But it's non-negotiable. Obviously I have like 20 other things to do, but that's totally fine. I'll get to those 20 other things. But it's a non-negotiable for me, and I know how beneficial doing those things, sticking to those things, keeping my truth, what I told myself, how important all that is. And then the effects that I get after it. Again, it's not this welcome, get six-pack abs. It's besides the point. How beneficial it is for my brain, and so then I can consistently keep doing these things. But even surface level, I feel so much better. It's just that simple. I feel so much better. And it's funny because I've done it. I've gone to the gym. I've had a gym routine so long at this point. There was like a point. There was a time like maybe like a month and a half ago, where I didn't have again, life happened, and no one's perfect. Like I experienced this maybe like a month and a half ago, and there were so many things going on, and there were a lot of people out here, and I was like figuring out how do I juggle this and do this and still make it here, and then also meet these people and. But again, no one's perfect, and I'll be honest, and I want this to be as transparent as possible. I don't sit here and it's like, I've done all these non-negotiables, I've set all these things up in my life, and now everything's amazing, and I never back down on any of them, right? Life does happen, I understand. But it's learning from those things. It's like, okay, next time that there's people out here and these things are set up in my life, how can I implement in a new way these non-negotiables so I could stick to them, right? And that was a new experience for me. And unfortunately, the point that I'm getting to, I didn't do it. And because I didn't do it, I'm here to tell you, I'm saying how beneficial that is, the gym, just the endorphins, what it does to your brain. It was 3 days, maybe 4 days. And again, I've had that routine for a long time and I haven't let off of it. And then I did, maybe a month and a half ago. I was feeling it. I had so much anxiety. I almost felt like how I used to, very, very depressed. And nothing's going to, it was so excessive. And someone could sit there and be like, oh my gosh, that's so exaggerated. Well, I'm telling you my experience. That's what I had from doing it so long and being consistent with it and then stopping it even for a few days. My whole life almost felt like, oh, everything's going to be over. That's the experience I had not that long ago. And I wasn't even conscious because I'm so used to going to the gym. I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't even gone to the gym for 3-4 days. You could ask my not that you would ask my manager, but my manager was out here and he had mentioned something to me and I was just like, oh my gosh. I didn't even notice. I get really irritable, which I'm never like that. It was just really irritable. I used to get like that when I never used to sleep either. Changing my sleep routine really changed the game for me as well. But that's why I say that I noticed it a month and a half ago. I was like, oh my gosh, this really is. I talk about this stuff so much because I've gone through it and I've seen it. But then because I've been doing it for so long now, that was the first time in a long time that it really hit the nail on the head for me. I was like, oh my gosh. It really is. It's almost reiterated to myself, self-reaffirmed how true this really is. So anyways, that's another non-negotiable for me. And I had some other things that I wanted to talk about on here. But yeah, as far as non-negotiables and meditation, you hear me talk about law of attraction or frequency. I really want to cut through all the BS and be as honest as possible. I had so much judgment. So this is for anybody that has judgment, either what I'm saying or about the whole topic, because I'm not the only one out there talking about these things, which is amazing now. But before, when I would see these things pop up and I'd be like, oh my God, it's such nonsense. I have so much judgment. I'd be like, they're either trying to sell something or so much judgment. I was like, and I used to be like, that's like it's a magic trick. That's why I always reiterate now, it's not magic. But I just didn't trust any of it. I was like, this is such BS. It's not real, And frequency, Like, I didn't even understand how these people, like, they could even buy it themselves. I'm like, how did they just like brainwash themselves to like believe all these things? So for anybody that's curious, or maybe that doesn't believe or thinks how I used to think and have so much judgment around this stuff, right? Because as human beings, we're always like, oh, it can't be that easy, or it's like too good to be true. You ever hear that saying or say it yourself? You know, I grew up with that, you know. I grew up as like, oh, it's too good to be true. You know, this happened, and a lot of times that is true, you know, but it's like we have to sit with the feeling. I always talk about now, and you guys maybe hear me say, it's like the feeling. What does it feel like? And the gut is definitely your second brain. I swear. Like, you go into a conversation, you ever walk in a room, just feels off. You know, something just don't feel right. Like they say vibe. I feel like vibe's such a played out word now, or such a washed out word. People say it all the time, but which is fine. But as far as like actual vibe, you walk in a room, the vibe's just off. Like, how do you feel? How do you know that? You know? How do you know that? It's like a vibe. You walk in and something doesn't feel right. Or vice versa. You walk in, the vibe is a good one, you know? You're like, oh, you want to stick and stay, you know? It's like, what's going on here, you know? It goes both ways. So, but those things, just to let you guys know, those things are very true in my life. I've experienced those things. I've also had so much judgment around all this stuff. So I also understand when I see, I don't want to even call them negative comments, but I see a lot of opinionated comments about these topics, and that's totally fine, you know. I had opinions. Everyone's free to have opinions, but it's more so just cutting through that. I've come to a point also in my life, some of you guys have heard me say this recently, it's just like, as much as I want to believe, and for so long I was holding on to, like, everyone can get this. Because, and I say that, I'm like, everyone can get this, whether it's manifestation, law of attraction, going after things and achieving these things that you want most in life. Everyone can do it. Like, I really, but I'm at this point now where it's just like, if you understand what I'm saying, like, and you get, like, and you get it, like, then you're one of the people that understand. You know, not everyone's going to get it. And it was hard for me, and I'm still coming to that place now where it's like, it was hard for me for a long time, and I always said that I believe everyone can do this and get it and go after their dreams and do these things, because I was the person that, I was like the poster boy for, if anyone would have seen me back then, they would have been like, there's just like no hope. There's no hope. It's just like one of those things where like you wish that person could see it and get it, but that was me. No hope. Anyone could look at it, not going anywhere. It's not going to get it, like, unfortunately. And so, but I did, you know, after trial and error, rock bottom after rock bottom, but I did. So that's why I held on so much, and I've held on so much to the belief that anyone can do it. But it stinks, but this isn't for everyone, you know? I hope it's for you. You know, if you get it, you get it. And that's all, those are the only people that I could, that are going to understand and resonate with the things that I say. I can't force people. I can't be like, please, I genuinely, like, I don't want anything from this. I just want you to, like, understand and get this. I can't hold everyone's hand. And I feel like for the last so many years, I've really tried to do that. You know, I've really tried to, like, hold as many people's hands as possible and over-explain, and it's just not real, you know. This isn't for everyone. It's not. And that's crazy for me to even be saying that right now. I think this is the first time I'm, like, really legitimately saying that, and I know someone could be like, it's really not even that big of a deal. Of course, you know, of course it's not for everyone. Well, you know, for a long time, other people and myself would tell me that, like, I'm at a loss. Like, there's no way. I'm never going to get this. Just true happiness, you know? We're not even talking about, like, success in a career or anything. Like, that stuff comes along with it. But just like life, you know? How do I just love who I am and the skin that I'm in, you know? That, like, I struggle with that so much. And I still have a lot of insecurities about so many things. But a lot of things that have really, really helped me is not hyper-focusing on them. you know, especially doing content. And I do, anyone that's watched a lot of these edits, like I do majority of the edits, so I sit there and I see myself, you know, and we're so self-critical of us, you know, of our one self. We are. You look in the mirror, you say, oh my gosh, why is it like this? Ooh, you know? So, it is so bad. It is so bad. I stop, and this may sound silly, but, and maybe, can anyone else relate to that? Like that's my real experience. I would just like look in the mirror, especially content, and be like, oh my gosh, like, oh, this look, delete, you know? Or in the mirror and just judging all these little things. It's so, oh my gosh, it is so bad. I had to stop looking. It wasn't like I'm looking at myself in the mirror, I'm like, you know? I feel like that's not most people's experience. Maybe there's someone out there that's like, oh, damn, you know? Freaking. And that's the point. And those people, that's what I'm saying, like, to get to that point, that's phenomenal. We shouldn't be hitting on people negatively for, like, loving themselves or, like, feeling themselves, you know? Like, that's what's up. It's because us as humans, we're so freaking insecure and can be so insecure that we look at someone that's like so confident, you know? And the only people that will allow to like be okay to say and to do things like that are people that are just like, oh, you know, like oh, that's great that you like, oh, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm not trying to be a butthead, you know? But like then, but anybody should say that. No matter what you look like, no matter, everyone should be able to like say that stuff about themselves. They should. But then societally be like, oh my gosh, so narcissistic, so egotistical, they'll feel himself, blah, blah, blah. It's so wild. It's so wild. But it comes down to just the insecurities. You know, as human beings, so many insecurities. Once we could face our own insecurities, do we really realize that? And how many of us are so fearful of so many things, and I could totally relate to that, you know, so much. And there's so many insecurities I still, like I said earlier, still struggle with. And it's just letting go of those things. Be like, that's just a part of who I am. That's what makes me unique, or whatever the case may be, you know. And it's changed my life, but I had to stop doing that because there was never a point in my life where I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh yeah, you know. It's always like judging myself, which is like, that should be your best friend. You should be your best friend. You're sitting there like judging yourself. You know how bad that is for self-esteem, self-love. And it rubs off on the rest of your life. So I had to stop. I just had to stop doing it. It sounds silly and great. Then maybe it's silly, you know, and someone could judge that. You know, but I'm just trying to be as transparent as possible to also have other people realize that you're not the only one if you do go through that. But I had to stop looking at the mirror, you know, so I just brush my teeth like this. I'm just not, like, throughout my growth, I don't do that. Sometimes maybe I'll wake up and I'll know. I'm like, oh, I feel a certain way, so I won't look at the mirror, but I don't feel like that now. But I did that for a long time. Where I was like, I knew that if I looked at myself, I was going to judge something. And I wasn't at that place in my life where I could let go and be like, oh my, you're like beautiful. It sounds silly, especially maybe for a guy. It shouldn't be, but like, you're beautiful. Like, I love who you are and who you're growing to be. And we should be able to say those things, you know? So I get super hyped when I see people that promote that stuff about themselves. You know, I think we just get it twisted a lot with like being egotistical or narcissistic. Because it's like, we're programmed to just suppress ourself and our self-worth, you know? It's like societally. It's definitely messed up. But it's breaking that, starting to have that awareness of all these things, the way we've been really treating ourselves. Because if we really started being a little more selfish and treating ourselves better, would we not be better to society? You know, if you were feeling good, you ever feel just one of those days? I know we've all had horrible days. That's what I want to talk about right here. You have one of those days where you're just feeling good. You're looking good. You're feeling nice. You know, not to quote my song, but you're feeling good, right? And you're just like happy. You know, anyone you go to get like a drink or something somewhere, and you're like, how's your day? You know, okay. Is it busy? Has it been busy? And you're being genuine. You're like, okay, well, you have a good one. You know, you just feel great. It's like, you have a good one. Okay. You know, and you just walk out and you're just on your jolly way. You just feel good. How are you not only to yourself, right? Take that as an example. because you were a little like you were feeling it. That's not a bad thing. And then in turn, the way you walk throughout the world, wherever you live, whatever time it is, you're feeling that. Oh, like you just feel good. Then you're putting out, now we'll get on to the topic of frequency and energy. You're putting out that positive frequency, positive energy, which makes the world a better place. And you have no idea. Someone could have not talked to that person, say it was at the gas station and you picked up that drink, at all. And now they feel noticed. So you just put that person on a whole different frequency. Like, oh my gosh. I've experienced it so many times in my life. And it's like, okay, how do I live in that place as often as possible, as much as possible? And again, life's a roller coaster, so we're going to have ups and downs. Nothing's perfect, right? I explained it to you earlier. I just went through something like a month and a half ago. It's like, how do I live in that feeling as much as possible? And it's letting go of a lot of things, because your brain, especially in the beginning of this, anyone else, maybe you could type or say something, you understand what I'm saying, but it's just past DNA, you know? People, places, and things, the way that we grew up, what we've been taught, what we've been told. It's like, how do we break that? We have to let go of a lot of those things, and I understand it. I don't want to say it can be hard, because if we start to tell ourselves that, oh, these things can be hard, you know, letting go a lot of these things, it's really difficult and it's really hard. If you start saying those things, just fake it. Anybody that's been around for even a little bit will know I'm the biggest advocate. I will say all day, fake it till you make it. Regardless of what society or what anybody else or even family, I understand. Some family are really going to only tell you those things out of, they may just be, depending on your family, they may just be saying those things because they don't want to see you achieve anything, and that may be a real thing in your life. But we also know behind that, hurt people. It doesn't matter if it's friends or family, whatever it is. But a lot of times, as well, it's out of love. And maybe friends as well, it's out of love. And they're just projecting something that didn't happen for them and how they were hurt because of that thing. They're projecting out of love. Don't do that, don't go after it. Just don't, you know? And they're projecting that. And it's valid in their life, but that doesn't mean that that's how it is for you. Only you could determine that. It's like, oh, they said I shouldn't go after my law degree or get my bar or whatever that is. Just being a lawyer as an example. Or go after music, go after anything. They said I shouldn't, you know, and they gave a lot of valid points. It's because it's out of love, you know, but it doesn't mean that that's the choice that you have to make. And a lot of people don't want you to change. We brought this topic up before. Change is the most amazing thing. It is so amazing. If you're around people that tell you don't change, or you're changing recently, or just gotta get new friends. I'm coming to a point as well as I try and there's a lot of fear around if I say certain things a certain way in the way that I think, people are gonna have judgment around that. But again, I always sit with my intention. I only want the best for anyone that's gonna hear anything that I have to say or that's spoken through me. You know, that's my intention. If I know that, then there's nothing bad. If someone's gonna judge me for that, then that's I can't help that. You know, it's not my job to. I can't. You know, there's only so much energy, and I've spent so much time. And some of you guys maybe have heard me talk about this, but I spent so much time trying to reply to comments and genuinely help other people explain, where I'm just so people that get it and want to be there for the process and the evolution of themselves within this community all day, you know, but I just don't have the time, sweat, or energy to spend doing that. And it was reply, you know, it's not like I would reply with something negative. It's always when I run out of characters. I don't know if anyone saw the video where I really was about to send something, and I always hit that point where someone has a different opinion, which is totally fine, but most likely it was an opinion that I also had. I ran into this a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was last week. Someone remembers the video that I posted. But I was just about to comment. And it was someone that had an opinion, which was totally fine, again, but it was an opinion that I also used to have. And that opinion of life, or the way this stuff works, is what kept me from all of this, of how my life is now. And so I wanted to genuinely help and be like, well, this is like the opinion, like what you're saying here, I totally understand. I can totally relate to it because I used to feel this way. Like I'm typing this out because I used to feel this way. But this is the train of thought that held me back the most. This is what helped. And I would run out of characters. I would want to be like, this is what helped me. And you can't say so much. Plus with like a message or a text or anything, you can't, nothing is translated as well as through like screen or visual or in person is the best, you know, because you pick up on real energy. But nothing is like, and I found myself, you know, throughout the years just so many times just doing that, like actually out of genuinely wanting to help someone understand, but I, you know, it's like I can't. The only thing that I can focus on is how do I keep putting out positive energy, any of the frequency stuff, all the stuff that I put out, how can I 10x that or put that out as much as possible so that maybe that person or whoever down the line that is held back by some of these beliefs. And again, I'm not saying my way is the best way. You know, I've learned so many different ways, tried so many different things that have worked specifically for me. Maybe the things that I talk about won't work for you. I hope that they do. You know, I feel like a lot of the things that I went through in life are so worldly translated. Like there's, I just hear too many stories where I'm like, oh my gosh, that was like my story. Yes, it was a different journey that I was on, but like I dropped all that, I let go of all that and the excuses, and I just switched the word, like I talked about earlier. I switched words like, oh my gosh, this is like literally my story. And it like once I just started doing that, it really, everything changed for me. And that's just what I hope. But if you're here and you're on the wave or just like trying to evolve as a human being, like you've found your place. That's all I could say. Like I'm here for that. You don't have to be doing music, you know, whatever you're into and striving into becoming, you know, in the better version of yourself in this life, and for sure career too as well. There's nothing wrong with that. There's also nothing wrong with wanting nice things. Someone were to tell you that, like, money isn't all evil. You know, go stream my song Money. I forget the lyric that I always forget my lyrics. Money coming to me, money through me. Tune it to the frequency of the bass, keep it booming. Feeling superhuman, I am losing. What's the thing? The line about whatever. There's a line about money, and it's not like a negative thing. Money is the whatever. Can someone say manifesting all things? Whatever. There's a line in there. Money ain't the devil. Money is the vessel. Right? Like money. Thank you, Brooker. It's true. You know, once we start having that understanding, because we are taught, and I used to think the same thing. Like anybody that has money, they've done something bad to get it, you know, and I don't want to do that. It's not true. It is not true. I know too many good people with more money than they know what to do with. It's usually that. I mean, it's very rarely have I, I'm trying to think of like if I know anybody, I maybe know one person, like off the top of my head. I know they have money and they're just like not really like a great human being. But that's not the case. Like with, I swear 98% of people, and then we talk about the 1%. What about the 1% at the top, and we're going to get in this conspiracies and all that? I don't focus on that. You know, like I don't focus on that. I put out the energy that I put out, and I understand these things are coming to me, right? Again, not to quote my song, but that's why I put this stuff in the music. You know, affirming statements. Say these things over and over. Trust me. Listen to me. Anybody that's in here, can you? I see this in so many videos, but anybody that's in here, could you please, for someone else, not for me, validate that this is real? And once you start doing these things and implementing these things, and there are probably going to be things that you necessarily don't want to do, but there are a lot of things that you necessarily don't want to do that you need to do in order to get to where you want to be. Just that simple. But can someone please validate what I'm saying is true, and maybe explain also how it has helped and benefited you in your life as I'm talking about a lot of these things. But I put out that music. My hope was that I could just get people like on the wave, because I sit here and I was just like, if I could just get people like on this wave and they're gonna listen to it, it's just like hard beats. That was my excuse. I was like, I don't know if how am I gonna get this to sound cool? You know, I was like struggling with that for a while. I was like, how can I say these things and make them sound cool? And then like other people, they'll be listening to it and they don't even know it's happening. You know, maybe like people that aren't on it, people that know, and if you get it, you get it. Then you're like, oh my gosh, it's like the secret serum. You know, it was like, how can I put that there to amass and then put as many people on as possible? That was my full intention behind all of it. And I didn't even realize, you guys have heard me say this a few times, but I didn't even realize I was doing it to myself. I knew it was a real thing, but obviously I made the song, so I've heard it a million times. I was saying the same thing a million times. I was making a million edits of the same thing, so it was just recycled over and over and over and over. And then, poof! You talk about abundance. Then it happened to me. And like the most profound way. And again, it was kind of like that thing where I just realized, like, oh my gosh, like I knew this was a real thing, and this, but I didn't even realize. Oh, and then it like took it up a notch for me to really start really talking about this stuff, even though I really have been talking about this stuff for a while, but really upping the content and putting out as much as possible. Just because of how real this is, it just really like upped the ante for me. I was like, oh my gosh, this really is a real thing, as if I didn't already know that. But it just really happened, you know? And that paired with, once I started seeing a lot of people's comments and the things that were happening for them because of that music being put out, that I was putting out. I was like, oh, you know? So, again, that's just what I don't know, that's what I get. That's what I get from it, you know? I love having these conversations. Again, would also love anybody, I will shamelessly plug heartfam.com because that's why this was built. How often do you hear me freaking plug stuff? You know, outside of like, please like my video. I will shamelessly plug that all day, you know, because it's something that means a lot to me and my managers. Also, Charles, if you know Charles is also on the same wave. We have these conversations. I wanted to start having these conversations and posting these videos and hopping on live because these are conversations that him and I have all the time. Sometimes we'll be on the phone and it's like 4 hours. And I'm like, bro, oh my gosh, we do this so much, you know? We're just having these life conversations. And I think it's super important to have people in your life to have those conversations with. And I can totally relate and understand if you don't, because I didn't. A main majority of my life, I didn't. There was no one that I could ever have those conversations with. So, which brings me so much gratitude to be able to have conversations like that with somebody now. And that's where the whole idea came up. What if we could create a platform where we put all this stuff and just like really go in on it? So that's why I'll say I will I'll plug heartfam.com all day, because it's, and again, you could go to the free code. We try to make it as easily accessible for everyone, you know? But if we could get enough people, that's why we just love to put everything, you know? So, anyways, I could go off on a million different topics. So what else was I going to say? I don't know. I can't even read what I just wrote down there. I wrote so many things because I also posted the video. But anyways, I love you guys. And I hope there was something that someone maybe grabbed from this. But no, you're not alone. We all go through these things. I also had a ton of judgment around this and around a ton of other things. You know, but once I started letting go and listening to people that actually were having these experiences that I could relate to, and then started listening to some of the things that helped them, and then I started implementing those things into my life, that's when things really, like everything changed. So that's what I care the most about, and I hope someone was able to grab something from anything that I said. But I love you, and I love you. Bye.